And joining us now on the WHO designated new COVID strain as a variant of concern is the World Health Organization's Chief Scientist, Soumya Swaminathan. Dr. Swaminathan, thank you for your time. A variant of concern is the WHO's top category of worrying COVID variants. What is the difference about the Omicron variant of COVID-19 without creating a panic? What do we need to know about the virus to make informed decisions to keep us safe?
Thank you, Sarah. So let me start by saying that the WHO set up a group called the Virus Evolution Working Group, the technical advisory group of independent experts that has been working since May of 2020 looking at virus evolution, because we know and we knew from the beginning that we could expect mutations. And we've seen hundreds of mutations in this virus. Most of them are not of a great consequence. They don't really mean that much. But there have been, as we all know, a few combinations of mutations which have resulted in what we call a variant, which is a sort of a subtype of the original virus, which has different properties. So either it's more transmissible, we saw with the alpha variant and then with the delta, or it has properties of immune evasion. That means it can overcome the immunity that the body has, and we saw that mostly with the beta and gamma. But the beta and gamma variants, as we remember, they were very concerning to begin with, but they never really became dominant around the world. So right now, the dominant variant is Delta. It's highly transmissible. It accounts for more than 99% of all sequences around the world. Now, coming to this new variant. First of all, our surveillance systems are working. And I think it's very important for all countries to recognize what South Africa was able to do. The first case was detected on November 9th. And in fact, the meeting was held at WHO yesterday on November 25th. So in a matter of 2 weeks, we already have about 100 genome sequences of this virus. We know a little bit about this strain, though we don't know everything. And we were able to take this decision yesterday on it being a variant of concern. So surveillance, especially genomic surveillance, is so important. And the reason why it's been called a variant of concern is because of the mutations that it has, that have been observed. Very many mutations, about 30 mutations on the spike protein. And some of them are known because they've been seen in other variants before. We know that they are associated either with better transmissibility or with some extent of immune evasion. And that's the reason why it's called a variant of concern, so that we can really put a lot of focus and attention and study it further.
So if this variant has a large number of mutations, then what does that mean for our current arsenal of vaccines? Are they effective against Omicron?
So that's one of the questions that needs to be answered, Sarah. So there are obviously a number of questions now on, is it more transmissible than Delta? It could be, but we don't yet know. We know that cases have increased rather rapidly in South Africa. But as we know, the cases increasing rapidly or a cluster developing is not only the virus, it's also human behavior. So you have to consider both. So just because there was a cluster doesn't mean that this virus is going to outcompete Delta. Just like Delta outcompeted all the other strains and it became dominant. So that's the first set of studies. The second set of studies is what you're asking. Will the vaccines work? And for that, we need two sets of studies. One is in the laboratory. What the scientists will do, they will take the virus with the different mutations, and they will expose it to the sera of people who've been vaccinated with a variety of different vaccines. Every developer will want to test their vaccine against this new variant. And from that, you'll get an idea in the lab of how many times more resistant is it to antibodies. And we've seen with the previous variants that Delta, for example, was a little bit more resistant to the antibodies, which means you needed a higher level of antibodies to overcome. But yet our vaccines were so good that they're able to work against Delta also. So then you need the clinical effectiveness studies. It's not enough to just do the lab experiments. We need data from real world studies to say, okay, if we're following these vaccinated people over a period of time for breakthrough infections, are breakthroughs with this variant more common than with any of the previous variants? That will tell us that actually is capable of overcoming overcoming the immunity and creating more breakthroughs. We don't know that yet. But again, I'm stressing it because it's so important that countries have the capacity and the capabilities and the research studies set up, the cohort set up in order to answer these questions as they come up.
So, Doctor, again, for our viewers, I want to just understand this again. So, when you talk about breakthrough cases, is there an increased risk of reinfection with this variant as compared to others, VOCs or variants of concern?
It's a bit premature. I think we'll know more in a few days because we still don't have all the details of all the people who were infected. We know some of them had been vaccinated earlier. We know some of them had been infected earlier. So, but we don't know the exact percentages to say that, yes, this strain is actually causing more reinfections or breakthrough infections. But that's clearly something very urgent that we're looking at.
And so the WHO says that the variant has a spike protein that is dramatically different from the original. What is the significance of that?
The spike protein is the part of the virus which attaches itself to the human cell, and that's how it gets into the human cells in the respiratory tract. Now, this, as I mentioned, this particular variant has about 30 mutations on the spike protein. So that's a lot. One of the properties that's been observed is something called the S gene target failure. And when we're doing PCR tests, some of the PCR tests that are used have this S gene also included as a target gene. So this has become a marker actually to detect this particular variant. It was the same with the alpha variant actually. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is that in some countries that are using this PCR protocol, they can actually quickly look at, do they have any such cases popping up of the S gene target failure, and that can then be full genome sequenced to confirm whether it's the new Omicron variant or not. But this is a quick way for countries to look and see, is there anything happening that's concerning? And South Africa is doing that.
And, there's been a criticism that India has not been doing enough genome sequencing. Is this a moment in history in our fight against the spread of the coronavirus to stress on the importance of genome sequencing?
Exactly. And this is what we've been saying, and many countries have stepped up considerably the genome sequencing efforts, including India, forming this consortium, the INSACOG, and progressively increasing the number of sequences. Apart from the number, it's also important on how the sampling is being done, how representative it is, and whether it's being randomly selected or not. Otherwise, you can also end up with data which is not representative, especially for a country as large as India. So the sampling methods as well as the numbers that are being sequenced are both important, and it will be critical to keep on strengthening that further.
But, so Doctor, clearly you're saying it could take weeks for scientists to fully understand the variant's mutations and whether existing vaccines and treatments are effective against it. But right now, Dr. Swaminathan, people across India and the world, they're checking their news feed on their phones and TV and reading the papers and seeing this headline, new variant of COVID variant of concern discovered. And everyone is honestly feeling dismayed and saying, oh no, here we go again. So for the Aam Aadmi, for the man on the street, what do we need to know? Like, for example, what are the symptoms? Are they different? How can we protect ourselves? How do we know we have this new variant?
That's such an important question, Sarah, and I can understand the feeling of panic that people might be feeling, thinking that we're going back to square one. But I don't think we should jump to those conclusions yet. First of all, we still don't know that this variant is absolutely deadly. We need to wait and find out. But till then, let's remember, today it's the Delta variant around the world that's causing people to get sick and causing people to die. Luckily, India is in a relatively good situation just now, but we need to make sure that we stay in that situation. And we know the tools, we have the vaccines. We need to make sure that all adults, especially those above the age of 45, receive a full course, 2 doses of the vaccine, either Covishield or Covaxin. That's, I think, priority number one. Second is to put in place the public health measures we know are effective. So let's not get into mass gatherings. Let's not have very big situations where there are a lot of people gathering, particularly indoors. Let's insist on mask wearing. Let's remind each other that masks, in fact, have been called the vaccine in your pocket. So we know that if everyone wears masks, you can considerably reduce transmission, particularly in indoor settings. And recent surveys that I've seen coming out of some cities have shown that mask wearing has gone down quite a lot. I hope that maybe one good effect of this wake-up call is that people put their masks on again whenever they're in company, and so just maintaining those basic measures and continuing the surveillance, not just the genomic surveillance, but also looking very carefully at the data, seeing if there is any uptick in hospitalizations, any uptick in deaths in any state, particularly in the older age group, following vaccine breakthroughs, sequencing them. So making sure we're on top of all of the data and prepared to, of course, take action and keeping our hospitals and health centers.
Well, talking about what has been proven to work on the ground, these new mutations were first discovered in South Africa. They've since been detected in Belgium, Botswana, Israel and Hong Kong, the US, Canada, Britain, the EU. They're all closing their borders to these countries. Will that help? Because epidemiologists are saying that travel curbs may be too late to stop Omicron from circulating globally.
Again, we need a science-based strategy to deal with these things, because we've known from the beginning that these are possibilities. It's happened repeatedly in the past. And from our experience of previous variants, travel bans have not stopped this virus from going around the world unless you close your borders and stay closed, So we need to take the risk-based approach. It is difficult, I think, for the leadership of countries to make a decision because everyone wants to protect. You want to protect your people, of course. So I think the measures that are imposed, even if they are a ban, has to be measured. They have to be risk-based and they should be temporary. They should be reviewed because, it's going to disrupt again the lives of people. People are stuck now in places they went to and they can't go back home and things like that. It's happened in the past. And particularly when we know, as you said, the epidemiologists have been saying that this is not an effective way of stopping. But rather than that, let's do the screening, let's do the contact tracing, let's do the follow-up, let's do the genomic surveillance. We have all of those tools today. And hopefully the vaccines will continue to protect against this new variant. Of course, we still have to do those studies. But I think it's those systematic, measured public health approaches that are done systematically across the board because, there's nothing to say that this variant isn't in another country X, Y, and Z. In fact, I expect that in the coming days, many more countries will start reporting because when you start looking, you start finding. And so targeting a few countries alone may not be the effective way actually to stop this virus from coming into your borders. Rather, it's a systematic approach which one applies to all travelers.
All right. Lastly, Dr. Swaminathan, the WHO Director General tweeted that Omicron has a large number of mutations and that's why we need to speed up our efforts to deliver #vaccine equity ASAP and protect the most vulnerable everywhere. Why that if it's still unclear if the current slew of vaccines are effective even against Omicron?
Look, we know that the vaccines have held up against all of the previous variants, including Delta.
Yeah.
But what we also know is that because Delta is more transmissible, you need both doses of the vaccine to be fully protected. And that unfortunately hasn't happened. Even today, there are countries with over 70% coverage, mostly in the high-income countries. And then you have countries with 7% coverage or even less. And there are countries, in fact, yesterday, the regional director of WHO in Africa said that only 1 in 4 healthcare workers in Africa were fully protected. That is what vaccine equity is about. We've not protected still the frontline workers, the vulnerable, the older people. They are at risk, of dying of this, getting the infection and getting seriously ill. So we have enough vaccines today in the world. If we were to distribute them and make sure that these countries are able to vaccinate their vulnerable groups, to be able to at least protect everyone to begin with. And then, of course, there's a lot more research going on. There are second generation vaccines. Modified vaccines are now possible, to deal with these variants. So I think the science is there, and the science will help us to come out of the situation that we find ourselves in. But science has to go hand in hand with solidarity.
So can I wrap up? I mean, is it safe to say, can I clearly say that we are not safe unless we're all safe? While some countries don't have vaccines for their population, that will lead to a breeding ground for more mutations, and in a globally connected world, it's just not enough to be vaccinated yourself.
Exactly. That's exactly what WHO has been saying. And the two factors that I have mentioned many times are people's behavior and the virus's behavior. And we know that the virus is going to continually try and evolve itself. And wherever we allow the virus to multiply, then the chances are that you'll get these variants coming out. And this is why it's important to get these vaccines out everywhere. So yes, none of us are safe till everybody's safe, because this is a pandemic.
Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, thank you so much for your time and joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight. And let's go across now. Swati Tyagarajan joins us. NDTV Swati Tyagarajan joins us from South Africa, where this new coronavirus variant of concern was first detected. So Swati, South Africa getting a travel ban, countries closing their borders to South Africans, even though the WHO has applauded South African scientists. So what's the mood on the ground? What's the reality on the ground? How is this being taken?
So, Sarah, as always, I mean, for South Africans, this just feels completely unfair, and it feels like they're being targeted. Because if you remember last year in March, when the Beta variant was detected, the world had a panic attack and they literally closed borders to South Africa. So South Africa has pretty much not been able to travel to most countries around the world since March last year. And the Beta variant didn't even become dominant in South Africa, let alone anywhere else in the world. So it kind of was there. It was definitely seen as a variant of concern. And then there was the Gamma variant that was detected. That didn't go anywhere either. There was Lambda, there was Mu. So I think the South African scientists are doing a brilliant job in really being responsible and transparent. And they're really looking at this in a very responsible way. And they're bringing out those findings to the world. They're not hiding it. They're not repressing the knowledge. They are, every time they find a variant, they're declaring it. And then if every time they do that, the world turns around and shuts their doors, it's like they're being penalized for doing a really good job and alerting the world to what is happening. And the fact is, Sarah, just because the scientists have discovered through genome sequencing a variant in South Africa, it doesn't mean this was manufactured in South Africa and it only happened here. We've already seen Omicron in so many other countries, and yet it's South Africa that's being shut out. I can't see Israel being shut out to the rest of the world. I don't see Belgium being shut out to the rest of the world. So so a lot of South Africans are feeling incredibly targeted. And for a lot of them, from last year, when you look at Christmas and all of this, this is when families come together, and they couldn't do anything last year. And this year they had really made plans with family around the world to meet them, or for family to come and visit. And all of that's been cancelled. So there's tremendous disappointment, a lot of anger. They're feeling that there's a massive prejudicial difference in how the world is dealing with Africa when it comes to these things, including the fact of what we call vaccine apartheid, where the developing nations, the global north, has most of the vaccines, has enough for several booster shots, while people in Africa, healthcare workers primarily, and other frontline workers haven't even got their first shot.
What is the vaccination rate in South Africa?
So in South Africa right now, we had a slow start last year because, as you know, when the Beta variant was detected, there was all this sort of tussle over whether the AstraZeneca would work against the Beta variants. The AstraZeneca vaccine was sent back or sent to other countries, and then we switched to Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. So now, since then, it has sort of, the vaccination rates have picked up. There is vaccine hesitancy in South Africa, which is a problem. But for most part, I think about 30 million people have received at least one dose. And I think close to 25 million or more have received both their doses. South Africa wants to get at least 40 million of its population sort of vaccinated, because that's what they see as a 70% number. So that's where we're sitting at. Yeah.
All right, Swati Tyagarajan, thank you. Stay safe, and I hope you do get to travel to India. I know you had plans to be here for the winter. Thanks. so much. So that's it on Left, Right and Centre. But really, just a word of caution, the emergence of this new variant basically shows once again that the pandemic is far from over. We need COVID-appropriate behaviour. That's critical to break the chain of transmission. So we all have to go back to masking, social distancing, good ventilation in all shared spaces, and of course, washing, sanitizing hands and surfaces regularly. Thank you for joining us on Left, Right and Centre. Good night.